In Shanghai's shadows, they whispered his name with equal parts fear and reverence, the dragon. But I watched the mighty fall, watched vultures circle a throne that no longer had a king. My name is Amarachin, and the night I agreed to carry a dying emperor's bloodline, I signed my own death warrant. Time was Chen Weiming's final enemy, and it was winning. Every gangster from the Pearl River Delta to the Forbidden City could sense it, the vacuum forming where absolute power once stood. A quarter-century ruling the Red Phoenix Syndicate. Port monopolies. Tech empires legitimized through billions in laundered money. Networks spanning continents. He'd been untouchable. Politicians bent their knees. Rivals stayed in their lanes. One word from Chen Weiming could end careers, lives, entire bloodlines. Then cancer came calling. Leukemia, the doctors said. For months, if he was lucky. His body betraying him faster than any enemy ever could. Ironic, really, the man who'd climbed to power through sheer will and calculated brutality couldn't even manage stairs anymore. But the real tragedy? No male heir. He had 4 daughters, each brilliant in her own right. Chen Lian, the eldest at 30. Chen Suyin, 27. Chen Mei, 23. Chen Jiao, barely 20. Oxford educated. Stanford MBAs. Sharp minds, sharper ambitions. None of it mattered. The ancient codes were clear: no woman could inherit the dragon's throne. It was doctrine, carved in blood and tradition over generations. Without a son, the syndicate would fracture. 25 years of empire building would collapse into gang warfare within weeks of his death. Dr. Lin Xiaoding observed her husband's decline with the emotional investment of a scientist monitoring a failed experiment. Their union had never been about love. She brought political capital. He brought protection and wealth beyond imagination. Nearly 3 decades of transactional marriage. Effective, but hollow. As Chen Weiming's strength faded, Lin Xiaoding made a calculated move. He needed round-the-clock care, but hiring legitimate caregivers meant questions, documentation, records. She needed someone off the books. Someone who'd disappear without a trace if necessary. That's how she found me. 3 months before that job posting appeared, I'd pawned my laptop just to make rent in a closet-sized apartment in Pudong. I was 24 and drowning. Shanghai was supposed to be my golden ticket. 18 months earlier, I'd arrived from Nairobi with teaching credentials and dreams that felt within reach. The reality? My Kenyan qualifications meant nothing here. That guaranteed international school position evaporated into sporadic tutoring gigs paying pennies. I'd cycled through everything: serving tables, translating menus, even posing for knockoff clothing websites that ghosted me on payment. Shanghai didn't break me slowly, it crushed me systematically. Then my father's heart gave out. Stage 4 cardiac failure. The hospital in Nairobi demanded payment up front. No money, no surgery. Simple as that. I borrowed from the only lenders who'd touch a broke foreigner with no collateral, underground triad networks. Biggest mistake of my life. 180,000 yen in debt, with interest that multiplied like a virus. They'd already made 2 visits to my apartment. Polite but menacing. The 3rd visit wouldn't be so cordial. My 2 younger sisters were counting on me for school fees. My mother was working herself to death in Nairobi's markets. The weight of 3 lives pressed down on my shoulders every morning I woke up. Then I saw it in a Kenyan expat forum. Caregiver position. Elderly executive. No experience required. Live-in. 35,000 yen monthly. I responded before finishing reading. The address was in Hangzhou, where Shanghai's true elite existed behind biometric security and walls that screamed, "Approach at your own risk." The compound looked like something from a sci-fi film: sleek architecture merged with traditional gardens, every corner monitored, every entrance guarded. This wasn't just money. This was fortified power. Dr. Lin Xiaoding was waiting. Mid-50s, designer suit, eyes cold enough to freeze blood. Your Mandarin? Functional, ma'am. Still learning. Here's your job: manage my husband. Feed him. Bathe him. Medications on schedule. Keep him comfortable until the end. She stepped closer, voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. He's dying. Actively. If he deteriorates under your care, if he falls, chokes, if anything accelerates his decline, you will face consequences. Legal consequences. Crystal clear. My mouth went dry. Yes, ma'am. Excellent. Zhang Wei will show you where you'll sleep. You start tomorrow. Zhang Wei materialized from nowhere, 6'4", built like he'd been assembled in a combat lab, knuckles scarred from violence I didn't want to imagine. Chen Weiming's head of security for 15 years, I'd learn later. He barely acknowledged me, just gestured to follow. Walking through that compound felt like touring a military black site. Armed personnel. Reinforced everything. Surveillance that made my skin crawl. Zhang Wei's advice was simple: stay invisible. Do your work. Ask nothing. Maybe you survive. Then he abandoned me in a tiny room that felt more like a cell. Sitting on that narrow bed, hands trembling, one thought consumed me. What the hell had I just walked into? Chen Weiming's quarters occupied the entire 3rd floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows framing Shanghai's skyline like he owned every light. Museum-quality art. Furniture worth more than entire neighborhoods. But the luxury felt empty, like a mausoleum decorated by someone with infinite money and zero joy. He sat in a wheelchair facing those windows, staring at the city he'd conquered. Once physically imposing, now reduced to skin stretched over bones. Gray pallor. Constant tremors. But his eyes, those eyes were predatory. Alert. Calculating. Good morning, sir, I said softly in Mandarin, bowing respectfully. He turned slowly, those dangerous eyes dissecting me. Who are you? Amara, sir. I'm here to assist you. He studied my dark skin, my obvious nervousness, the fear I couldn't quite hide. Kenyan? Yes, sir. Interesting. He turned back to his view. My wife hired you? Yes, sir. Then you're probably here to kill me. I froze completely. Sir, A dry, humorless laugh. Relax. If you were an assassin, you'd hide the fear better. He waved a trembling hand dismissively. Dark humor. You'll need it in this place. I didn't know how to respond. Well, Amara from Kenya, he said, still gazing at his empire. Let's see if you last the month. The first 2 weeks were hell. No training. No grace period. I was expected to know everything: complex medication schedules, dietary restrictions, how to physically move a dying man without injury. I failed constantly. I ruined his rice porridge because I didn't know he wanted it nearly soup consistency. I mixed up morning medications because the labels were technical Chinese beyond my comprehension. When I tried helping him walk, we both nearly went down. Any normal employer would have fired me immediately. Chen Weiming didn't. When I burned the porridge, again. Lower heat. Patience. When I burst into tears over the medication mix-up, document everything. Triple check. So I did. I created detailed charts. Color-coded systems. Timed to the minute. When we nearly fell together, he actually laughed, genuinely laughed. At least if we both die, my wife can't pin it solely on you. Slowly, painfully, I learned. His patterns. His pain thresholds. How to read his breathing, his subtle expressions. And slowly, something unexpected developed. Conversations. First trivial, weather, news, basic courtesies. But they evolved. He told me about building the Red Phoenix Syndicate from nothing. The territory wars. The enemies he'd eliminated. The empire he'd carved from absolute chaos. I listened, genuinely fascinated despite the darkness. This man had lived an extraordinary life, even if it was built on blood. He asked about Kenya, Nairobi, my family, what drove me to China. I told him everything. My father's failing heart. My sister's school fees. The loan sharks tightening the noose. The desperate scramble to survive in a foreign country. You're tougher than all of them, he said one evening after I'd managed his dinner. Stronger than anyone in this compound. Them, sir? He gestured vaguely toward the rest of the estate. My family. They've never fought for anything real. They just count down days until I'm dead so they can fight over the scraps. The bitterness in his voice was palpable. You have 4 daughters? 4 daughters. No son. He stared into nothing. In my world, that equals 0. When I die, everything dies with me. The daughters hated me from day one. Qin Lian treated me like malfunctioning furniture. Snapping fingers. Barked orders. Close that. Fetch this. Adjust that. Never please. Never thank you. Just commands fired at a servant beneath notice. Her fiancé Wu Zhang was worse, ambitious in that dangerous way, the type who'd step on anyone's throat climbing upward. One afternoon, I overheard them near the library. How much longer is the old bastard going to drag this out? Wu Xing hissed. We've been strategizing for 3 years. Soon, Qin Lian replied, voice emotionless. Doctors give him 6 months maximum. Once he's gone, we execute. The syndicate becomes ours. Your mother? Your sisters. They'll fall in line or they won't. Either way, we control everything. I pressed against the wall, pulse hammering, praying they wouldn't notice me. They didn't. The other daughters weren't any better, shopping, posting social media content, planning what they'd buy with their inheritance. Their father's death was just an inconvenient waiting period. 5 months in, Qin Weiming summoned me late one night. Sit, he said. My heart dropped instantly, indicating the chair beside his wheelchair. I sat, bone-tired from another 18-hour shift. My heart sank. I was waiting to hear him say I was fired, perhaps hear him warn me on something I'd done mistakenly. But then it came. They treat you terribly. Statement, not question. I didn't deny it. I need this job, sir. Unacceptable. His jaw clenched. You're the only person in this compound who treats me like a human being. Everyone else is just calculating funeral expenses. Tears threatened. Qin Weiming's trembling hand covered mine. I'm going to protect you, Amara. Whatever happens. I promise. I wanted to believe him. But how could a dying man protect anyone? 2 weeks later, everything changed. Amara, I need to tell you something. His tone made my stomach drop. Time's running out. The leukemia is accelerating. 2 months, maybe 3 maximum. I'm so sorry, sir. Listen carefully. His grip tightened. I don't want sympathy. I want help. I pulled back slightly. Help with what? Qin Weiming's eyes locked onto mine with frightening intensity. I need a son. The room went silent except for my heartbeat thundering in my ears. Sir, I don't. Yes, you do. His voice was quiet, but absolute. I need a male heir. Someone carrying my blood, my name, my legacy. Without one, everything I've built vanishes. I stood up, mind spinning violently. This can't be serious. Completely serious. He held my gaze. I've considered this for months. You're the only person I trust. The only person who's treated me like a human instead of a bank account. Your wife. My wife hasn't touched me in 2 decades. This marriage was always business. His voice turned bitter. And she's past childbearing years anyway. Find someone else. There must be thousands. Who would betray me immediately? Who would tell my wife, my daughters, or auction the story to my enemies? He shook his head. I need someone I can trust. Someone who understands loyalty. I can't, my voice cracked. I'm not asking for love, Amara. I'm not even asking you to stay after. I'm asking you to give me one thing before I die. One chance at legacy. One son to continue what I've built. And what do I get? The words came out harsher than intended. Qin Weiming didn't flinch. 2 million yen immediately. Enough to eliminate your debts and support your family for years. When the child is born, another 10 million yen. And protection. My network will ensure nothing ever touches you or your family. 12 million yen total. Life-changing money. My father could retire. My sisters could attend university. I could go home. But the cost. I need time, I whispered. Take it, Qin Weiming said. But not much. I don't have long. I didn't sleep that night. Paced my tiny room, mind racing through every scenario. What he was proposing was insane. Immoral. Probably illegal. But was it really worse than what I'd already done to survive? Working illegally, borrowing from criminals, lying about my visa status, and the money. God, the money could change everything. I thought about my father in that hospital bed. My sister studying by candlelight because electricity was a luxury. The loan sharks' escalating threats. I thought about Qin Weiming dying alone while his family circled like scavengers. By dawn, I'd decided. Yes. Qin Weiming looked up from his breakfast, eyes searching mine. Yes. I'll do it. You're certain? No. But I'm saying yes anyway. For the first time since I'd met him, Qin Weiming genuinely smiled. Thank you, Amara. You can't comprehend what this means. One condition, I said quickly before courage failed. Everything documented. A contract. Legal. So nobody can claim I trapped you or stole money or whatever narrative they'll construct. Done. My attorney will draft it today. He reached for my hand. You won't regret this. But I already did. The contract was signed 3 days later in absolute secrecy. Qin Weiming's private attorney, a stone-faced woman who'd clearly witnessed worse, oversaw everything. 2 million yen deposited immediately. 10 million yen held in trust, released upon birth. The act itself was clinical. Awkward. Nothing resembling romance. Qin Weiming was dying. His body barely functional. But somehow, impossibly, it worked. Then we waited. 3 months later, I knew. The nausea came first. Every morning, sprinting to the bathroom. Then exhaustion, dizziness, certain smells triggering violent reactions. I bought a pregnancy test from a pharmacy in Pudong, miles from anywhere I might be recognized. 2 lines. Positive. I was carrying the heir to the Red Phoenix Syndicate. I told Qin Weiming first. His reaction was everything I'd anticipated and feared. Joy. Relief. Tears streaming as he gripped my hands. Thank you, he kept repeating like a mantra. Thank you. Thank you. We don't know the sex yet, I reminded him. It's a boy. I know it. His certainty was almost frightening. This is fate, Amara. This child saves everything. I wanted to believe him. Qin Weiming called a family meeting 1 week later. I was ordered to stay in my quarters, but I could hear everything through those walls. Lin Xiaoting's cold voice. Why this summons, husband? The future of the Red Phoenix Syndicate. What about it? Qin Lian, sounding bored. I have an heir. Complete silence. Then chaos. What are you talking about? Lin Xiaoting's voice could cut steel. A son. My son. My heir. Impossible. You're dying. And yet? Smug satisfaction in his tone. The child will be born in 6 months. A boy. The future head of the Red Phoenix Syndicate. Who's the mother? Qin Lian demanded. Pause. Amara. Explosion. The maid? Qin Jiao shrieked. You impregnated the Kenyan maid? You've lost your mind, Qin Suing spat. This is insanity. Lin Xiaoting's voice dripped venom. How dare you bring a bastard into this family? That girl is nothing. A foreigner. A nobody. Enough. Qin Weiming's roar silenced them all. I'd never heard him that powerful, that commanding. That girl has more honor than all of you combined. She cared for me while you counted my money. She treated me like a human while you planned my funeral. And now she's carrying my son. The heir to everything I've built. This is a joke, Wu Zheng cut in. You can't seriously expect the syndicate to accept some random African woman's child as. I'm not asking. I'm telling you. That child is my blood. My heir. When I die, everything goes to him. Not you. Not my daughters. Not my wife. Him. You can't do this, Qin Lian screamed. We're your family. Your daughters. We deserve. You deserve nothing. You've done nothing. You've contributed nothing. You've just waited for me to die. His voice dropped to something terrifying. But I'm not dead yet. And I'm making this crystal clear. If anything happens to Amara, if anyone in this family touches her, harms her, threatens her in any way, I will cut you out completely. Every single one of you. You'll get nothing. Do you understand me? Silence. Do you understand me? Yes. Lin shouting. Ice. Good. Get out. Footsteps. Slamming doors. Silence. I pressed my back against the wall, hand on my stomach, tears streaming. What had we just unleashed? The following weeks were suffocating. Nobody addressed me directly, but their hatred was everywhere. In how Qin Lian's eyes tracked my movements. In Lin Xiaoting's cold smiles. In whispers that died when I entered rooms. Zhang Wei became my shadow. Boss's orders, he explained when I asked. You don't go anywhere alone. Is it that serious? His expression answered everything. Chen Weiming grew increasingly paranoid. I ate every meal in his suite, food he'd personally monitored during preparation. Zhang Wei swept my room daily for cameras, weapons, anything suspicious. They're plotting, Chen Weiming told me one night. I can feel it. They're waiting for the right moment. Then send me away now. Not yet. Too early. If you leave now, they could track you before the baby's born. He was interrupted by a coughing fit. Blood on his lips. His time was running out fast. The threat started subtle. A note on my bed, leave while you still can. My toothbrush replaced with a used one. A warning. My clothes slashed. Accidentally. Then it escalated. I found crystalline residue in my tea. Tiny. Easy to miss if you weren't paranoid. But I was always paranoid now. Zhang Wei investigated. Found nothing. No proof. But we all knew. They're testing you, Chen Weiming said grimly. Seeing how far they can push before I retaliate. But it wasn't just the family. Word had spread through Shanghai's underworld. The Red Phoenix Syndicate's leader was dying with no male heir. Succession in chaos. Then suddenly an heir. A pregnant foreign woman who could produce the next dragon. Rival organizations saw opportunity. Eliminate her, and the syndicate collapses. Chen Weiming dies without succession. The territory becomes contested ground. I became a target worth millions. Chen Weiming increased security exponentially. More guards. More cameras. I couldn't leave the compound at all. It's not safe, he said. The Black Snake Triad knows about you. The Tiger Society is asking questions. Even the Yakuza are interested. I'm trapped here. You're protected here. He grabbed my hand. Trust me, Amara. Just a little longer. Once we extract you, once you're safe abroad, they won't be able to touch you. Will you be alive to see that? He didn't answer. We both knew the truth. My heart heaved in rough gasps. I wept slowly from within me. For months into the pregnancy, everything exploded. I was walking through the garden, Zhang Wei 10 paces behind, when I saw them. Chen Lian and Wu Zhang, arguing in harsh whispers near the koi pond. They didn't see me. Can't wait any longer, Wu Zhang hissed. She's showing now. In a few months, the baby's born and we lose everything. What do you propose? Chen Lian's voice was ice. An accident. A fall. A miscarriage. There are methods to handle this without it appearing suspicious. My father will know. Your father is dying. In a month, he'll be gone. We just need to ensure that baby doesn't survive. I must have made a sound because Zhang Wei immediately moved in front of me, hand going to his waistband where I knew he kept a gun. Chen Lian and Wu Zhang spun around. For a moment, everyone just stared. Then Wu Zhang smiled. You should be more careful, Amara. Pregnant women are so fragile. Zhang Wei took a step forward. Try it. The tension was suffocating. Finally, Chen Lian grabbed Wu Zhang's arm. Let's go. They left. But the message was crystal clear. Chen Weiming made the decision that night. You're leaving tomorrow. After midnight. I'd been expecting this. Where? Zhang Wei will drive you to a private airfield outside the city. My plane will take you to London. I have people there. They'll keep you safe until the baby's born. And after, he coughed, blood staining his handkerchief. After, you'll have more money than you'll ever need. Your family will be taken care of. And my son will grow up safe. Away from all this darkness. Will I see you again? Chen Weiming's eyes filled with tears. No. That moment, my heart skipped. Fear, then. I started crying too. Despite everything, the insanity, the danger, I'd grown to care for this dying man. Thank you, I whispered. For everything. No. He gripped my hand. Thank you. You gave me hope when I had none. You gave me a future. You gave me peace. We sat in silence, holding hands, both knowing this was goodbye. The next evening, Chen Weiming announced at dinner that he was sending me to the hospital for a checkup. A lie, but believable. Lin shouting barely reacted. The daughters didn't care. But I saw Wu Zhang's eyes narrow. He suspected something. At midnight, when the compound slept, I crept from my room. Chen Weiming waited in the hallway in his wheelchair. He shouldn't have been out of bed, but he'd insisted. Go, he whispered. Don't look back. I bent down, kissing his forehead. Goodbye, Chin Wei Ming. Goodbye, Amara. Take care of my son. Zhang Wei materialized from shadows. We move. Now. We made it to the car, a black sedan, engine running at the back gate. I climbed in, heart hammering. Zhang Wei behind the wheel. We pulled onto Shanghai's empty streets. The airfield's 40 minutes outside the city, he said quietly. Boss's plane is fueled. Pilots compensated. You'll be in London by morning. I nodded, unable to speak. My hand rested on my stomach. We drove in silence for 15 minutes. The city lights faded as we headed toward the outskirts. That's when I saw them in the side mirror. Headlights. 2 vehicles closing fast. We have company. Zhang Wei's voice was calm, but his hands tightened on the wheel. The SUVs accelerated, pulling alongside. I saw men inside. Armed. Hold on. Zhang Wei floored it. The sedan shot forward, but the SUVs matched our speed. This wasn't random. They'd been waiting. One SUV pulled ahead, trying to cut us off. The other stayed on our tail. Classic pincer maneuver. Get down! Zhang Wei shouted. I ducked just as the window exploded. Gunfire. Bullets tore through the car, shattering glass, punching holes in metal. I screamed, covering my stomach, praying the baby was okay. Zhang Wei didn't slow down. He yanked the wheel hard, slamming our car into the SUV beside us. Metal crunched. The SUV swerved, losing control, crashing into the barrier. One down. But the second SUV rammed us from behind. Hard. My head snapped forward. Pain exploded in my neck. Almost there, Zhang Wei muttered. Hold on. More gunfire. The back windshield shattered. I felt something hot graze my shoulder. Blood. I was bleeding. I'm hit. How bad? I don't know. Can you move your arm? I tested it. Pain, but it worked. Yes. Then you're fine. Stay down. Zhang Wei took a sharp turn onto a smaller road. The SUV followed, still firing. Then I saw it ahead. A small airfield. Runway lights cutting through darkness. And there a sleek jet. Engines already running. There. I pointed. I see it. But the SUV was right behind us. And now I could see more vehicles coming from another direction. At least 3 more, blocking the road to the runway. We were trapped. Zhang Wei made a decision. He yanked the wheel, driving off-road, cutting across grass directly toward the jet. The car bounced violently. My head hit the ceiling. My stomach lurched. The SUV followed, but was heavier, slower on uneven ground. When we stop, you run, Zhang Wei ordered. Don't look back. Don't wait for me. Just get on that plane. What about you? I'll handle them. Go. We skidded to a stop 20 meters from the jet. Zhang Wei was out instantly, gun drawn, firing at the pursuing vehicles. I scrambled from the car, legs shaking, shoulder bleeding. The jet stairs were down. A flight attendant at the top, waving frantically. Run. Now. I ran. Feet pounding across tarmac. Behind me, gunfire erupted. Shouts. Metal hitting metal. I didn't look back. Couldn't. 10 meters. 5. I reached the stairs. Started climbing. That's when I heard Zhang Wei scream. I turned. He was down. On his knees. Blood spreading across his chest. But his gun was still up. Still firing. Buying me time even as he died. Men poured from the vehicles. 6. 8. 10. All armed. All running toward the jet. Close the door, the flight attendant screamed. Go, go, go. Strong hands grabbed me, pulling me inside. The door slammed shut. Through the window, I saw Zhang Wei collapse completely. Saw the men reach his body. Saw one of them, Wu Jing, I realized with horror, kick him once, then turn toward the jet. He raised his gun. Bullets hit the fuselage. The jet was moving now. Engines screaming. Starting to taxi. More bullets. One shattered a window, 2 rows behind me. The flight attendant tackled me to the floor. Stay down. Stay down. The jet accelerated. Faster. Faster. The men were chasing on foot, still firing. But we were pulling away. Then, That beautiful moment, the wheels left the ground. We were airborne. I lay on the jet floor, shaking uncontrollably. The flight attendant, a Chinese woman in her 30s, helped me into a seat. "Are you hurt?" I looked at my shoulder. Grazed by a bullet. Bleeding, but not serious. "The baby? We have a doctor on board. He'll check you. But first, let me stop this bleeding." She worked quickly, professional, like this wasn't her first emergency. "Who are you?" "Someone Mr. Chen trusted. I'm Jiwen. I've worked for him for 12 years. He told me everything. Asked me to make sure you reached London safely." "Zhang Wei." Her face darkened. "I saw. I'm sorry. Is he dead?" "I don't know. But he saved you. That's what matters now." Tears streamed down my face. That loyal, brave man who barely knew me had died protecting me. Protecting this baby. The doctor confirmed the baby was fine. My heart rate was elevated. I was in shock. But physically, we'd survived. "You need rest," he said firmly. "No stress. The next few months are critical." I was given a private cabin. Real luxury. A bed, bathroom, everything I needed. Jiwen brought food, but I couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. Just stared out the window at darkness, replaying everything. My phone buzzed. A message from Chen Weiming. "If you're reading this, you made it. I knew you would. You're stronger than you know, Amara. Stronger than all of them. By the time you reach London, I'll probably be gone. The leukemia is winning. I can feel it. But I'm not afraid anymore. You gave me peace. You gave me hope. You gave me a son. In London, my lawyer will contact you. Everything is arranged. Money. Protection. Documents for the baby. You'll never have to worry again. But I need you to promise me something. When my son is old enough, tell him about me. Not the monster. Not the criminal. Tell him about the man who loved him before he was even born. The man who gave everything to make sure he'd have a chance at life. Tell him his father died protecting him. Thank you, Amara. For everything. Chen Weiming." I read it 3 times, tears streaming. Then typed a reply, knowing he might never read it. "I promise. I'll tell him everything. Thank you for saving us. Rest in peace." I press send. The message showed as delivered. Then read. 30 seconds later, one final message. "Goodbye, Amara. Be happy." That was the last time I ever heard from Chen Weiming. And his baby, he was safe in my womb. A son who'd survived all the haste, the sufferings, the running. I asked myself, would he survive in London? Were there people who hated him so much like I was hated back home? In a moment, we landed in London 12 hours later. A woman in an expensive suit met me at the private terminal. Chen Weiming's international attorney. "Miss Chen. I'm attorney Wang Hui. Welcome to London. How are you feeling?" "Exhausted. Terrified. Alive." She nodded sympathetically. "We have a car waiting. It will take you to your apartment in Kensington. Fully furnished. Paid for. You'll have everything you need." "And Chen Weiming?" Her expression softened. "He passed away this morning. Shanghai time. Peacefully, according to his doctors." The words hit like a physical blow. He was really gone. "His will is being executed now," Attorney Wang continued as we walked to the car. 80% of his estate goes into a trust for your son. The remaining 20% is split between his wife and daughters, with specific stipulations." "What stipulations?" "They cannot contest the will. They cannot make any claim on the trust. They cannot attempt to contact you or the child. If they violate any of these terms, they lose everything." "Will that stop them?" Attorney Wang's smile was thin. "It will slow them down." Mr. Chen was very thorough. He anticipated every move they might make and blocked it legally. But they're dangerous people. Legal barriers won't stop them forever. You need to be careful." We reached the car, a black Mercedes with tinted windows. "There's one more thing." Attorney Wang handed me a thick envelope. "Mr. Chen wanted you to have this. If you ever watched this to this point, then thanks to you. I'm glad you followed through. Now tell me in the comments section, would she survive it in a foreign land? What happens if the baby turns out to be another girl? Do not forget to subscribe to my channel and leave a reaction. Tell me, Do you need another episode of this story?